Hello everyone, welcome to this week's FPV Podcast. This week, the Master of Drone Racing is back, and I got some questions about MGP Champs and also a little bit about the Regional Finals because he's going through all of those right now. So, without further ado, Joe Scully, how you doing, man?
Good evening, Y. Say hello from Dallas, Texas here tonight. Just wrapping up the South Central Regional Final and getting ready to go on to the next one.
There you go. And for anybody who's watching, seems like that was a rough one. Joe, how have the regional finals been going for you, man?
It's been an absolute blast and pleasure. I mean, I can't thank our sponsors, Multigp, that have put their heart and soul into seeing drone racing develop and supporting what Multigp is doing. Obviously, by way of the Multigp Regional Series presented by the Academy of Model Aeronautics, we have 6 regional finals this year, as opposed to the 14 that we had in 2017. And the idea was 6 bigger events, more large-scale events. We wanted more live streaming, more coverage, more pilots to attend, maybe some media, maybe some spectators. And instead of having qualifiers with 35 pilots, hopefully hit 100, like the old the Sebring level type of event. And for different reasons, we didn't hit those numbers, but I think a lot of the other goals have been accomplished. And thanks to the great sponsors like FPV and Fat Shark and Hobby Wing and Drone Racing League and the Academy of Model Aeronautics, it's been possible to send me and a team, pretty much the same people, to each and every one of these 6 regional finals. And it's been an outstanding summer and fall now to be able to tour to Open Grove Raceway that everyone talks about in Ventura County, California, and meet Joe Frederick and his whole team and see, where Bapu, one of his old home tracks, and Ricky Martinez, to start the season over there and then venture over to the Southeast, Huntsville, Alabama, and hang out with Team White Goat. I mean, all the Team White Goat at that regional final, and everyone from Florida making the trip. And, that was a blast. And up to the Northeast, which is quote unquote my region, I call it, because the proximity to where I live, and with Slowpoke, who's a big part of the Multigp team behind the scenes, and Safety Third and Alex Serini Foster and the Klings and the FPV Direct people up there, that whole team that are a big part of what we do, but going to their backyard and seeing what's happening. And over to the Northwest where Cody Knudsen is, and who's been on your podcast a few times, and at Die Hard RC, another Tier 1 chapter place that everyone talks about, and being able to hang out with that whole family up there is great. And then North Central in Chicago with all the superstars, Nurk and Jaws and Amari now, new superstar, and even the Cincinnati and the Cleveland guys like Lonnie and K Mead hanging out in their backyard with Michael Olivier from Wisconsin. I mean, that was a whole hoot nanny. And then this past weekend to be down in Texas once again with Jay McGibbon and Rob Herman, who last time you and I spoke, was at the team racing track at I.O. They were running it, and now you and I are talking over the internet, and I'm in their backyard in Dallas, which is kind of cool. But hanging out with those guys and Old Man Mills, David Mills, Old Man FPV, and Michelle, and the rest of the whole team, Casey putting on this event, and all the pilots from down here like Adma 20, of course McGap and Captain Vanover, 32 Bits of Gill, and many more. I mean, there's been 50 to 77 pilots at each one of these regional finals. I feel bad that I don't name them all off, but it's been amazing to just be able to go around to all these different regions. And, you see a lot of these pilots that I just named off at the big events, but to see them and the people that they fly with that don't always get to travel has just been an amazing experience. It's been challenging, it's been rewarding, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's been an outstanding season.
Oh, yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. And I do actually like the format because definitely sending a team and having consistency in the regional finals, having these big events, it really does sound really cool. And having everybody come together and just having a really good event before having MGP Champs sounds really good. But, like a lot of people say van life, for Joe Scully, it's hotel life because that's all he does. He goes from one hotel to another.
I love it. I mean, I got everything all settled up here. I have 2 beds. The first one has all my receivers and antennas, laptop bag, Cat 5, Cat 6 cable, and it's all got to be sorted and loaded to fly back home, and then I'm home for 9 hours and then to fly to Australia. And then on my bed, I have timing systems, my Pelican, and power meters, and all kinds of SMA adapters. I have a lot of work to do, but basically a storm was coming and I had to get our live stream guy to the airport. So loaded into the car, just basically off the tables into the rental car, and then to the hotel. And I put it on my bed, so I do it tonight before I try and make it to the airport.
Man,
But
that is tough.
yeah, but I mean, the great thing is I never have to make my bed. And I had, food delivered in, Uber Eats is my jam. And I might even do some laundry here at the hotel. So, I mean, you get used to the life, but it really is awesome to be able to see these different races, see all these different places. And as I always say, I'm blessed to do what I get to do, where it's every single weekend I'm doing some sort of event, which is always my dream. And maybe more drone races than rodeo, but that's just as much of a win in my book.
There you go. And for anybody who's out there who loves the Joe Scully events, I know I do, definitely congratulate him on a newcomer. Josie is joining the Scully family. So tell us a little bit about that.
So my second child is my little daughter, Josie, which comes from two things. Obviously, my name's Joseph and Joe. So Joseph, Josie. And so that's where we went with her name. Josephine is her full name, Josephine Josie. And my great aunt, her name was Josie, and she passed away last fall. So kind of cool to be able to carry on her name in an Irish tradition, which is nice. And part of this whole whirlwind season of drone races, where her due date was 2 days after the regional final in Huntsville, Alabama, the Southeast Regional.
That's crazy.
So, but it's my second child, and I'm so fortunate. Like, for these regional finals, all six of them, I go through a week before the event and see who hasn't purchased a ticket yet, and I send those personalized Facebook messages. I'm like, hey, man, the regional finals coming up. Haven't bought your ticket yet. We're going to see you. And reach out. And so I've seen like all these different reasons why people haven't attended. And they're like, oh, I'm having a baby, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, must be your first, right? Because my wife let me out of the country on like an 8-hour flight away from home 2 days before our due date. Now, it took a lot of coaxing, a lot of trust and love. But my first child, Marshall, he just turned 8 last week. He was born in October and actually had a rodeo booked on his due date. And my rodeo guys, which are tough and, it's just the way they talk and everything, they're like, we need you for this rodeo. And I'm like, what's the date? And it was like October 1st or whatever. I'm like, no, that's my son's due date. I can't do that. They're like, babies never come on their due date. I'm like,
uh-oh.
You know what? I think you might be right. And so that was like a 9-hour drive from home to go announce this rodeo. So I had a backup plan. Soon if anything happened, I had someone who's going to take over the music, someone who's going to slide in, take over the commentary, and I would drive 9 hours back home for the birth of my child. And he ended up coming 9 days later, and it was amazing. So I was at home, wasn't stressed out. My wife was stressed out. So this one, second time around, it was like, hey, we were already built up for I have such a crazy season that chances are if the baby's born on a weekend, I'm going to be away, but that's okay. And so my wife had the birth plan with like the doula and the nurse and the doctor. I don't even know. She had a whole team of people for this baby. So what am I going to do, right? Like I faint at the sight of blood normally. And so, so she gave me her blessing and away I went. We did have a deal, though, that when I did a regional final, which happens, I fly in Thursday night, set up Friday, the event Saturday, Sunday. The deal was that I had to fly home Sunday night. Meanwhile, most events I'll fly home the next day, Monday. So that was the deal. I lived up to my obligation, but we had so many, because of the heat in Alabama, we had like delay. And we had like 20 minutes when after podium was done to pack up all the gear.
Wow. Yep. Sounds about right.
To fly and boogie to the airport. And I made my plane. I made it home, and my daughter was born on the 5th instead of the 2nd. So she waited, and I got to stay home for that, and it was good. All part of the family.
All right, there you go. Hey, for anybody out there, definitely congratulate Joe on the new addition to the family and recognize, sacrifices have to be made in order to have all these events actually happen, because a lot of people got to be in places that they don't normally are, but that's how it is.
And my son, I don't know if you saw on Facebook, but right before I left to come to Dallas to the South Central Regional Final, it was my son's birthday where he turned 8. And so we had a birthday party for him, and I went and we did a drone and Minecraft party. And so We set up Xboxes, like 3 of them with projectors, and the kids played Xbox. And outside, we flew Falcors. And I mean, I set up a timing system and netting, and we had 2 Falcors going any given time, just swapping battery. And I mean, I broke a sweat. It was like an 8-hour day setting it up. It was an 8-hour day running it and an 8-hour day tearing down. I was so tired, but I somehow made the flight the next day to come here. But absolutely amazing. But I wouldn't recommend it, at least with a staff of 2, that we did it, because it was so much work. But they had so much fun. Like, those Falcors were in the air nonstop for like 4 hours straight, it seemed. So yeah, the drones have come full circle. So it rewarded him, and my kid had like a pretty baller birthday party. You know what I mean? Like, who gets to have that? Like, you know,
That's
a drone
awesome.
birthday party. Yeah, it was crazy.
There you go. He eats, lives, and dreams drones. Apparently, his kid's going to be the same way when he grows up. What, Joe Scully Jr., the announcer? Does he want to be an announcer? Does he want to be a rodeo man?
I don't know. You know what he wants to be? He wants to be a YouTuber. That is his.
You're so screwed.
What do you mean? I got everything he needs. I have a green screen. I have a streaming laptop. I got a stream deck. Like, I do live streams. Now, the only stumbling block is my wife. She does not want my kid being a YouTuber, like a streamer.
Got to start early.
So he's really stoked about it. Like, the best thing was he likes to pretend that he's vlogging and stuff like that. And so we fly sometimes in the backyard. I'll fly. I got a Multigp spec racer built for me by Bull FPV. I have all these Falcors. I have an Alien Whoop. I have Vortex 150 Mini. So I'll fly a full size. He like flies a Tello and a Tiny Whoop and a Fat Shark 101. So we have our drones. We fly in the backyard. We have a good time. But yeah, he's always like, when I'm flying, he's always like pretending to vlog and, what's up, guys? This is my dad. And so anyway, the one line in his vlog, his fictitious vlog, is when I was trying to line a sight and I was in the wrong mode, and I was in acro mode, acro air mode, and I took off and I tried to bring it back into the deck, and didn't really realize what's going on, and my head wasn't thinking as fast as my thumbs, and I buzzed the flight line pretty hardcore, and then to hear my 8-year-old son is like, "This is my dad." Whoa, that came in like a wrecking ball. I'm like, where the hell did he come up with that from? I'm gonna totally steal that myself.
And he's got the talent, Joe. He's got the talent. All right, let's go ahead.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey, it's a talent, man. I'm telling you. All right, let's go ahead and move over to MGP Champs, because there has been several changes, and we definitely want the definitive word, because some people are confused. Most people seem to be in the know, but apparently MGP Champs has been moved from December to February. It's also changing locations. Instead of being in Florida, it's also moving to Las Vegas. Apparently, it's going to be a part of a bigger, or a co-event with DRL. Can you tell us like your thoughts on this and like what's all happening there?
Yeah, it's a change, and there's always some sort of issues with change. There's struggle, and there's some negatives with any sort of change. But for the most part, this was a huge positive move, I think, for MultiGP, and I think for the pilots of MultiGP. I know some people are bummed about the change. Either they went to their regional qualifier, regional final, and they're all stoked to go to Florida in December. And then there are other people that are bummed because they saw that the champs were in December in Florida, and they says, you know what, I'm not going to go. And now it's like this going to be this huge event in February in Vegas with DRL, and they're like, oh, I want to go. Well, it's kind of like one of those things, and we get it, and it's one of those things where you got to feel bad for everyone that's disappointed about it, and we share in that disappointment, because anytime someone goes to a drone race or a regional qualifier, especially, or a regional final, we want them to have the best experience. We don't want to let them down. I don't feel that we did let them down, but we definitely feel their pain on the other side of the things, and that is where it's going to be awesome. This is going to be a super party event. I'm all about the nightlife. Nighttime is the right time. Las Vegas. I think every championship should be in Las Vegas. AMA Supercross is at Las Vegas. Monster Jam, Monster Trucks, their championships in Las Vegas. UFC championship fights in Las Vegas. My background is rodeo. There's 2 rodeo leagues at the highest part of the game. Las Vegas. I think the next Stanley Cup champions of hockey are going to be the Las Vegas Knights in Las Vegas. Everything's Vegas, Vegas, Vegas. So, I mean, that's really where our event should be, our championship should be. And it's a really good move. Behind the scenes, there's a lot of benefits to MultiGP as we have investment in all this netting that's sitting in Reno from last year's champs. But the biggest thing is for the pilots. And MultiGP is by pilots, for pilots. And we want to ensure that the pilot experience is the best and the opportunities are the best for their pilots, and they get value for their pilot ticket or whatever they invest in the series or even attending the final. And by moving it to Vegas, it was a partnership that was presented to us to work with DRL to do a large event. DRL, obviously on television with their 6 or 7 regular season races and their playoffs and their championships. That's the TV show. But they also have another big event. This will be their 3rd year running, and that's the 2019 Swatch Drl Tryouts, which is an esports tournament in the DRL sim. They want to see more participation in the sim, and so they reached out to MultiGP and said that they're not obviously they hold their cards very close to the chest. They're not out there talking with their pilots publicly like we are, having polls every single week, but they follow what we do. They watch the MultiGP news, and they reached out and they said, we noticed that you haven't really pulled the trigger on your championship, and we have an idea for you. We really want the Swatch DRL tryouts to be bigger. You guys need some assistance with your finals. How about we work together, have one big super event, and that way we can have more pilots participating in the esports tournament. We can really celebrate how our companies are working together to grow drone racing. And it was a huge win-win, and DRL has a much larger budget with us, and they've invested once again in MultiGP, which, I mean, we can't thank them enough. So the idea is that we are going to fill the grid, 150 pilots in Las Vegas for a weekend, flying drones IRL and flying in the sim with DRL. And as we've been promoting since the first regional final at Open Grove, that the winner of the 2018-19 now MultiGP Regional Series, the winner is going to get a television contract with DRL. You know, we've seen Jared, who was 3rd last year, get the DRL contract. Sean Taylor, Night Fury, a 2-time champ. We have 3 national champs. Those are the 2 guys that have those 3 titles. Sean Taylor, been on DRL. Obviously, DRL has been using MultiGP races and other races as a scouting opportunity, but this year they said, okay, out front, your champion, as long as they're 18 and above, caveat, is going to get a television contract 2019 with DRL, which is amazing. Also with the esports tryout, Jaws, who is the Bud Light pilot, he won the first esport tournament with DRL. Then RoboGenesis won the 2018 Swatch DRL tryouts in New York last year. He is on DRL this season. Jaws now is on his 2nd season with DRL because of that opportunity. They are through the esports tournament. They're handing out 3 television contracts. So there's going to be 3 pilots that come from the sim on to next year's season of DRL.
Oh, okay.
One of those 3, that's from and you can see all this just by going to droneracingleague.com or go in Steam. If you go to Steam and search for Drone Racing League Simulator or DRL Sim on Steam, you can, all this info's there. So they're going to give away 3 TV contracts from this, the 2019 Swatch DRL tryouts. The top pilot, like their winner, the winner of the esports tournament, also gets a $75,000 contract. So in the esports, there's 3 television contracts. With the MultiGP championships, there's a television contract. And we're going to join the events and do it so that all 150 of our qualifiers to the MultiGP champs fly in that tournament. The events are together, but they're not at the same time.
And okay. Gotcha.
We're working on scheduling. We're working on venues. That's another huge one right now. But the idea is that if you come as a pilot, we're not going to burn you out, and we're not going to go race for 8 hours and then get you in the sim for 16 hours. We're going to build it so you're going to fly in the sim, you're going to fly on our course, and you have a chance to win one of 4 contracts through those different methods, plus everything else, the prize money and the champs and everything else going on. So it's a huge win-win, and I mean, 150 pilots, just MultiGP pilots. And you're going to have these additional pilots that didn't go through the regional series. You're going to see a bunch of them that We know they're just the people that didn't go to their regional final or didn't even go to a regional qualifier. There's quite a few of them that are even right now in the different esports communities that we know they're also in the drone racing communities. They'll be there. Like, it'll probably be 200. That's not the number we're marketing, but I bet you it'll be over 200, 225 quad pilots in Las Vegas, pretty much all in one hotel, not Airbnbs. Don't be lame. All in one hotel, party, 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 racing, 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 and thousands of dollars to give away, TV contracts, and having a lot of fun. So it's a big win. On the other side, on the Florida side, we didn't have a venue. We had a bunch of venues that we only got so far with, and everything just kind of went down in flames. We wanted to have it at Disney. That was going to cost way too much money. And we're going to have it in Miami, and that was going to cost a bunch of money. And our partners didn't really, they didn't get enough capital built up to host it. We were in limbo. And again, DRL came in and offered us this partnership. It is going to be at a significant investment as well by Multigp Corporate. It's not just a walk in the park, but it was the right decision to make. And I'm excited about it. I mean, I couldn't be more excited about spending a week in Vegas. It's going to be outstanding in February. You know, us in the north, there's no better place to be than the south in February, right?
Exactly. And you know what? That sounds really interesting. I think it's the right move. And, getting 4 spots, this is the first time I've actually heard that there's 3 spots given. Haven't been following it as much. But anybody who's a drone racer who actually wants to compete at the highest level, I mean, you got to be here. I mean, 4 spots, that's probably the best chance that you will have to get into a televised drone racing professional pro career, whatever you want to call it. I would say that, this is probably the event that you want to go to at the beginning of 2019, and definitely going to be really interesting. Now, I know you've already kind of advertised February 8th, basically the weekend of February 8th. So am I assuming MGP Champs is going to be a 3 or 2 day event, and then the DRL Tryouts will be another 2 or 3 day event, or we're still speculating?
You're hitting all the tough questions, huh?
Okay, sorry.
Prepping. I didn't know you were prepping. So it is an enigma. So we have been promoting it as a weekend, and we have a very passionate team. They see a lot of stuff written. Unfortunately, it's all digital behind the scenes. We put stuff down digitally, like as a note, as a planning thing, and somehow it comes into a release document and people release it. So that's where it really got out of hand. I mean, it'll just be an internal struggle, and I'm not talking out of school. I missed a meeting or something. There was way too much stuff that came out about Florida that, when people were upset, obviously with the college weekend and stuff, that was a crazy thing. We didn't even know, because I'm like, who even said there was the first weekend in December, man? Like, how do you announce, this was the Florida thing. How do you announce a weekend in a state, but you don't know the venue? Like, what if our ideal venue at the time, which was Wide World of Sports, ESPN Wide World of Sports, what if we got that for the price we wanted, or close to it, but we could only do it on the 15th, 2 weeks before Christmas? Why we'd be backed into a corner? But somehow on a planning document or a meeting that I missed, it got announced the wrong weekend. So hopefully we've been able to calm things, because everyone's excited. We want to get this information out. We don't want to be cryptic. We like to be fully transparent. But the tough question on this Vegas weekend, when do we start? That is going to be venue specific. We'd love to say that the event is going to start Thursday. It's going to go to Sunday, but we don't know. If we don't have a venue, like if we can't get the venue to Friday, then no dice. If we can get the venue on the Monday right through, and we can even start on a Wednesday, we can accommodate. The one thing, I mean, even DRL hasn't really come out with their full schedule. Their plan is it's Saturday from noon until late, like 10 o'clock or something, but that's a tentative. It could be, depends on the number of pilots they get. They haven't even really released the venue that it's going to be at. and I think they're 99.9%, 100% certain, or 99 to 100% certain on the venue, but they haven't even released that, so they're in the same situation too. I can tell you like goals, but I mean, I don't want people to clip this and play it back or judge us on this. You know, there's a judgment-free zone with peace and love, but our goal will be that it would start Thursday, then go into Friday, or a little bit of a morning on Saturday. Then it's all DRL sim Saturday afternoon and evening, and then Sunday's our championship Sunday with a big day, and then your podiums by like 5, and everyone can get home. One of the things that we've been really focusing on is making sure our podium's done by 5, so that people can catch those 7, 7:30, 8, 8:30 planes. Even though there'll always be an after party, especially in Vegas, we do that. Our goal is it'll be done Sunday reasonable, same as we hit our deadline last year in Reno. We're going to focus on that, but it is going to be venue specific. One of the other goals, and it would be nice, would be to be at a venue where we have 2 fields. Now we have, right now DRL has presented us, because they're partners, and part of their partnership has a lot to do with the venue for our event. Even though we're together, we're also exclusive of each other, but together we've identified 5 venues, and we're narrowing down the availabilities and the pricing, and hopefully in the next 2 weeks I'll fly to Vegas and do a venue inspection with RF meters and all that stuff, checking.
Yes.
An actual, one of the things that we always talk about in all these events, man, I wish we could have gone there and done this. And it's funny that talking out of school again, but different events that we've done, I've given people like the recipe on how to venue test, like test a venue for RF, in interfering Wi-Fi, signal reflections, the things to look for just for the logistics of an event with security and traffic. And it's just a very simple document on what to do. And 3 major events we sent a local to do it, and they haven't hit it out of the park. So we're going to invest the money in my airfare and hotel for a night to go down and actually check the venues, which gives me a ton of confidence that it'll be the right venue for our championship. It's not something that we take lightly. Last year, this is where some people decided not even to participate in the regional series this year because of last year in Reno, it was 1 track, and we had huge wind. You know, here we are going to Nevada again. You know, is wind going to be a factor? Could be, depends on where it is in the city. But people went to 1 track, and we had delayed because of shipping, and we had delayed because of weather, and the whole house of cards blew in, all the sides and the roof blew in, and it was a nightmare. We started a day late, but we were able to catch up that time. I think, but we cut the practice day out, but everyone got the packs that they were promised, and actually, other than the finalists, everyone else flew 1 or 2 more packs than they did at Champs the year before when we had 3 courses. But obviously we know it could have been better. And people decided that they didn't want to participate this year if it was going to be 1 course. Now, to those people, I'm not here to battle keyboard pilots, but we haven't announced anything. So they're like, it's going to be Reno again, I'm not going to go. Well, hopefully it's 7 courses, and those people are watching the live stream going, dang, I should have done it, because they didn't bet on black. And no matter what, the team that I work with, I'm going to bet on every single time. So whether it's 1 course, 7 courses, it's going to be a great time. I mean, we're at the South Central Regional Final. That course, the whole thing was underwater. And the keyboard pilots are at home, and they're like, I'm not going to go. This event should have been canceled. Who planned this? There should have been better planning, blah, 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 blah. You should have checked the weather. A lot of shoulda, coulda, woulda. But you're in Texas, and of course I watch the weather a week in advance of every event that I'm doing, so I can plan to bring the right gear or whatever I need. I wouldn't have brought my super expensive quasi-quad diversity systems if it looked like it was going to be a full rain out. I'd have brought simple duos and be safe. Even when I got on the plane, the weather looked fine. By the time we get here, it's like, all right, now we're going to lose some of Saturday. Then all of a sudden, the whole thing, myself and Taylor Hancock staked the entire regional final course in the rain. I had a Surface Pro in a Ziploc bag, just to make sure that we could push through. And then the whole thing was underwater Saturday, and we bought 5 pumps, and we're using 3 water pumps at any given time, pumping water off this field for 8 hours. And
wow.
Everyone's, all these people are like, oh, what were they thinking? Should have been moved and rescheduled and this, that, and the other thing. And like, come on, man. Like, we're we're here. All these people have hotel rooms. People have flown in. They come in from 4 different states to each every one of these regional finals or more. And like I said, I bet on the team. And it's like, even I got a little scared. And Heads Up FPV's dad, Kevin Turner, sent me a message, and he's like, "You got this, like you always do." And I'm like, damn, I needed that boost of confidence. And we pushed on. We had to cut a day, obviously, with the weather, but we still got 2 practice rounds and 5 qualies. Like we did, had to cut a full day, but we also got another full day in. And it was a great day. And yeah, I don't think that I've been at an event, and I even include Reno in that, we underperformed what we said that we would do. I think maybe there was a false expectation from 2016 Multigp Champs where there's 3 courses and the finalists flew like 35 packs at practice, and that seemed to set a bar and a barometer. But at the same time, on the Sirius 60 and the UTT 60 courses, those people came to Muncie and flew 7 packs, and they went home at the champs. Okay, in Reno, 1 course, everyone flew at least 10 packs in the same time period. So it is what it is. And like I said, I'm always going to bet on black, and we're going to do whatever it takes. And I think, with our goals, we want multiple courses. If we don't have multiple courses, like I'm going to the venue inspection. I have a million ideas. Like, it's not my first rodeo. It's not my first drone race. How do we capitalize on one track? Our limitations in Reno, we had time restraints, but if we have to be forced with one track, I would go with a 24-hour program if I could, wherever, I'm going to push for it. And I think we have the reins to do that with DRL at our back. I mean, DRL, we're excited. I'm excited. And this is just a personal thing that I'm actually going to fly in for a venue inspection. It's not because it's Las Vegas and I'm going to see Harrison Gale and he's going to take me to his dad's ranch and stuff. But that's not what I'm excited about. It could be in Muncie, Indiana. I'm excited that we can go and properly assess the venue and really put it through its paces and make sure that it's the right choice for champs. We know that the time frame is great. It's away from the college students' exams. We know that the location is amazing. It's the cheapest destination to fly into in the United States of America. It's the cheapest rooms in all of North America. It's the best. And we're going to make sure that the drone racing end of it, not just the party and the accommodations, the travel and the camaraderie, is just as great.
Definitely. Cool. And, for anybody who's, been to drone races and organized drone races, especially for these large events, I mean, we recognize that at a certain point, it is everybody's on board and nobody can leave the train because you can't reschedule these because everybody's committed. So at a certain point, come hell or high water, this is still an outdoor event and you're at the mercy of Mother Nature. You just got to get it done. And like any armchair yelling isn't going to help. You might as well just come out here and help out and start pumping water because that's what we need. Not more armchair, yelling because it never helps.
Keyboard pilots. Yeah, I'm trying my absolute best. And it's been something I've been known for being a little bit of a troll online. I like to comment. And I feel, and I may be way off base, but I feel that I've curtailed that a lot. And I try and, if there's a question posed to me directly or of the company, I try and answer it as straightforward as possible. But when I was I had to go to Walmart. I don't know if you see these. I had to buy these rubber shoes. Look how much mud is on them. And I bought these rubber shoes. They look like Crocs with the holes in them. And then I get out there and they have slits down the side. So it's like walking in sandals. So I got like Gorilla Tape and I sealed my own shoes. But no matter what, a little bit of water goes in, especially if you get a soaker. And so I have blisters all around my feet.
Oh, yes.
Remember all these people that think, the forecast was as bad as it was before I got on a plane. I had to buy a $5 raincoat at Walmart, and then that wasn't good enough. So I bought a rain suit and gave a volunteer the jacket from the rain suit, and I wore the cheap pants. Because I didn't fly with this, because it wasn't supposed to be a monsoon. I wasn't supposed to be pumping the course. I wasn't supposed to be staking the course, but the event was behind. We had to do it. But it wasn't just me. I mean, I look at Jacqueline Skinner, Justin Skinner's wife, It Will Be Fun, who just won third, the South Central Regional Final, Baller Finals, and he was the TQ going into the final round, final heat, which was pretty awesome to see how he set the bar and really made McGap and Captain Vanover go for it, I was proud of him. Anyway, his wife was there before I got there on Friday, and she was out there in the rain, bent over, building gates, soaking wet. Captain Vanover's mom showed up on Saturday. She's like, "What do you guys need? What do you guys need?" She always asks. And I said, "You wouldn't happen to have another 1350 or 1600 gallon per hour pump, would you?" She's like, "I got 3." Boom. She shows up. She's out there squeegeeing off the course and running pumps and going back and
Wow.
forth. Yeah, yeah. And then Taylor Hancock, who helped me stake the course, and Casey, who did the building, and of course David Mills and Jay McGibbon and Rob Herman and all these other volunteers are out there soaking wet. Now this is well into the later part of day number 2, and my phone notifications are going off, and I go through and I read these keyboard pilots, and finally I couldn't hold back. I'm like, this is an absolute insult to these people that I'm looking over here. I'm under a tent checking my phone for a minute. They're out there, like, getting pneumonia, getting blisters, and they're like, you know what? People are here. The event has to happen. But those keyboard pilots are sitting in their basements because they only leave 3 times a month to go to a drone race, and that's it. They're keyboard pilots, and well, you should have checked the weather. Like, no, you should check, like, just what it takes, perseverance, grit, and determination. Like, I get paid to do what I do. There's a few events that I do for cost or at a loss and investment my time. But this weekend, I was paid to be there. I get to do this. I wake up every morning happy, regardless. What a day. It's like, it could be the worst day ever. I could have gotten 4 hours sleep. I'm going out to stand in puddles to pump a course. I'm going to go to like 4 Home Depots and a Harbor Freight to get pumps and argue with people about how to use a pump. It's not a great day, but I get to do it. I choose to do it, and I'm blessed to do that, and I'm thankful for that. Those other people are volunteers. They're doing it for the event to happen, for their husbands, their wives, their significant others to host this race. And, people like, they should have known better. Should they have? Maybe they did, but who cares? They didn't think about themselves first. They thought about the guy from Belgium who flew in this weekend to fly as an international pilot in a Multigp regional final. They're thinking about him. They're thinking about the people that drove 6 hours from Colorado. They're thinking of the people like from northern Colorado that got planes. Like, that's what they're thinking of. The guy that from Belgium had a 7 o'clock plane to go back to Belgium. Like, that's a 7 hour flight on the short flight. They thought about him. Can you imagine? They're like, yeah, it rained, so what? Had we not,
Yep.
yeah, had we not pumped the fields, it would have been over. Like, there would have been no choice. Like, so anyway, yeah, I mean, it goes a long way, and a lot of pilots are doing this too, where they'll just reach out and they'll thank the organizers and they'll thank the volunteers, and that goes a long way. And it's not just a, hey, Facebook post, thank you volunteers or whatever, but actually going around and going to the people that they see in the crew shirts or the people with the wettest, muddiest boots and saying, hey man, thanks for pulling this event off, and it's cool to see those people stand a little taller and feel a little prouder because, perseverance pays off, and they'll always have these memories of the drone race that should have been canceled and, heck, should have been canceled 5 months ago, according to those keyboard pilots. But, it went on, and we got champs, and everyone got rated on the list at this event, and that's what you need to do, and at least be positive about it.
There
Like,
you go.
You don't need someone who wow, it really looks wet out there. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. I'm standing in the water puddle right now reading this. Like, my phone is now garbage. It's filled with water. So I got a notification because I'm tagged in a post of someone saying, wow, it looks wet. Oh, thanks, man. Didn't know. But such is life.
Yep. Kudos to all the volunteers because they are the unsung heroes. And trust me, there is no big drone racing event that doesn't require a ton of volunteers and a lot of help. And, it's always great to have those people out there. And for the people who show up and actually work, you are the champions in a different way.
Yeah, I look back on Reno, like the wind came in and all the netting. So we had netting, 50-foot tall green netting, like the golf course netting on the side, and then 250 by 250 monofilament netting on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And the wind came in gusting up to 45 miles an hour, whatever it was. And it was pulling the cranes. It was like going to be like catastrophic. And what was really cool is all the pilots ran out of the pits and held the netting. And eventually it all blew in, but it gave us time to lower everything so the damage was less. And and it's really cool to see pilots step up and do that. And here at the South Central Regional Final, there was a point where we don't need more people walking in the puddles and helping us. We got it covered. But then all of a sudden, pilots, hey, it's delayed. Hey, but if you're around 4 o'clock and you have boots, only if you have boots. We don't want you to come out and get soakers, but if you have boots, come and help. And all of a sudden, we had way too many people on the field to help us clean it up. And that's where I'm like, that's what, I mean, they're not the keyboard pilots, they're the real pilots, you know.
They're there to help.
Which was, amazing. And at the Northeast Regional Final up in New Egypt, New Jersey, this, I want to say late July, the wind came in overnight, blew the entire course down, bent all the EMT and conduit in half, and the flight line, all the tents were upside down and destroyed. The receivers, because I left them under a tent, which I thought was staked down and tied down, which it mostly was, it was upside down. All the receivers were sitting in a puddle, and where we were, like the night and day, like it was a war zone. It was insane. But there, which was amazing, is the crew arrived first before me, and even though we had like I want to say like a 7 a.m. call time, they went there at 5:30. So I woke up at 6:15, and they sent me a picture, and I'm like, oh, it was worse than I had imagined. And then I'm like, oh dang, like what do we do? Like, we're not going to call it, but you know, I'm thinking maybe if we just fly, we don't need the ground stations, we can just fly modules. Maybe if we can get that course up, maybe we can fly by 2, we can get 3 hours in. This will be what we salvage. And then Michelle Foster Serini said, well, if the pilots help, I think it'll happen. And I'm like, cool. And so I went right to the app and I text messaged and emailed all the pilots saying, hey, it's a war zone, but if we all pitch in, we can rebuild this. And within 90 minutes, we're ready to fly. Like when I arrived and the pilots arrived, they were rebuilding tents. They were taking destroyed tents with their propped benches and everything, taking those apart and building new tents from the old tents. Full Tilt Racing did that.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Restood the course back up, and that too is like perseverance and amazing. That event got its full program. We didn't miss a practice round. We didn't miss a qualifying round. We didn't miss a bracket race because of the community really pitching in, raising those gates, and it's really great to see that it's there's been so much positive this year in all the situations that were in the challenging situations. And again, I'm gonna bet on black every single time because somehow we pull it off.
Hey, that's all that counts. That's all that counts. And for any pilot, and I can tell this from experience, you may curse and cuss at that time, but 2-3 years from now, that's going to be a great story that you can tell everybody, and it's going to be awesome. Okay, so just live with it for the first year, but it'll get better. It's like wine; it just gets better. That's how it works. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our last subject because I don't want to keep you forever. I know you're tired. People internationally have become more interested in attending this event. You know, are they going to accommodate more international people? Because there is now greater interest because this is kind of like world level, you know, because of the two companies coming together and making a mega event.
Well, it's a tough one. I mean, first and foremost, anyone in the world can qualify for the 2019 Swatch Drl Tryouts. They just download the sim on Steam. It's $19.99. Even if you like quads and you're just doing aerial photography right now, download the sim, get in the tutorials, fly with the guy that looks like beast mode that's not beast mode, and pop some balloons with the indoor racer to the Racer 3. I'm doing it right now. That's why I know all about it. It's not a script I'm reading from. The tutorials are like a game. It's it's a lot of fun. But then you enter the 2019 Swatch Drl Tryouts in the sim, like right in the menu. You sign up, and there's a number of courses that you need to do, and I think it's like, I don't even know, it's like 3 or 4 courses, and your combined time across those courses has to be 9 minutes. And basically, if you can fly at any speed and not hit a gate at your own pace, you're going to qualify. So that will get you in to the 2019 Swatch Drl Tryouts. and it's going to be in an esports arena in Las Vegas. It is most likely going to be on the 9th, and there may be a little bit of overflow, but right now I think their plan is that it's just on the 9th, and you can compete for one of three contracts on for television on ESPN and Sky Sports and so forth with DRL in 2019. And the number one, that's the podium. The entire podium all gets the TV contracts, and then the top of the podium gets a $75,000 contract as well, which is a huge prize, huge opportunity. From the international aspect for Multigp, we had that opportunity for international pilots, and we only had three pilots. Only three pilots out of a potential. We had 10 international slots at our 6 regional finals, so 3 slots out of 60 got used. It was this weekend. Fio from Mexico, I think Rafael or Izzy as well was an international pilot, and then the guy from Belgium. We actually had a guy from France up in the North Central. So there's been like 4 pilots. And I think Fio is, he's a contender. So he will advance as an international pilot as part of the Multigp pilots at this combined weekend. So Fio, as an international pilot, will fly in the Multigp championships. And if he wins that, then he could get a DRL contract, and he will also be in. He's a lock to the 2019 Swatch DRL Tryouts, and there's another 3 contracts there. So the international side on the Multigp thing, that ship has sailed. We're going to be working on new plans for 2019, 2020 for international pilots and our championships. We have lots of ideas now that we now have data after this weekend being done. I think next year's season is going to take a little bit of a different twist for the good. More participation, more opportunities, and I think you're going to see more international pilots being a part and making their way to the Multigp championships in 2019 or 2020. There's a lot of things at play. We're going to get this championship out of the way first, and we'll assess. We'd like to see a championship maybe a little earlier, but we see like every post, and we have our own opinions as a team, Multigp corporate. And, a lot of people saying, well, your championships should have been earlier. Okay. How's October sound? Pretty good. That would be early. Okay. Where should we have it? In the South, somewhere where it hardly rains. Like, cool. Dallas, Texas? Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. October 13th and 14th rained out dang near. And had anyone else been running this event, they probably would have canceled it. So how do you
There's no right answer. Yeah.
There's no right answer.
There is no right answer. No matter what you choose, somebody will argue.
This could be amazing. It will be amazing, but there's so many different ways this February event can go. So, moving towards the future, we want to see more international. We have the Multigp championships, which in essence is the U.S. Nationals, but we want to take it next level so that we have a worldwide international Multigp champion. How we do that? Do we do it on U.S. soil? Do we work more with our international chapters? That all has to be seen. But as an international pilot for this February event, it's going to be awesome. Like, especially the opportunity to come to this event. And I look at a great remember Elf? You probably Elf
we talked a lot
at IO, right? Yeah. So he's from Norway. He's got an RC car background, and he goes to International Open not to win, but he flew like 40 packs on World Cup, the World Cup 1 track on Sunday on his own. Just the only thing that slowed him down was the number of times that he could charge. But what he was excited about is he's rubbing shoulders with all and gritting up and pitting with these amazing pilots. So imagine an international pilot that knows that they're not going to beat Captain Vanover or McGap or Nurk or Jaws or Robogenesis or Flycucks or all these Miwo, Dolma. These are gunners. But imagine going to an event and hanging out with them. Imagine going to Las Vegas, maybe even volunteering in the Multigp championships as a judge. Imagine your job is to sit there and watch every time that Robogenesis flies on Championship Sunday, it's a pretty good opportunity, and you get rewarded with some swag. Imagine coming as an international pilot, flying in the DRL esports tournament, the Swatch Tryouts, and then working and hanging out and being a part of that event. There's still that opportunity, and I think it's a great opportunity that guys like. I think it's a great opportunity that anyone should jump on. Your opportunity to see it before you are a part of it. I won an announcer competition in rodeo in 2007 in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I went in 2006 and watched it before I competed in it, and that gave me just a whole abundance of skills and an advantage. When I went in the next year, I come in hot, prepared. I didn't go the first year trying to just place or anything like that and focusing on myself. I went there the first year and focused on the event and how do I win. And I think this could be a great opportunity, especially if Multigp and Drone Racing League have these mutual events and continue garnering this relationship. Then I think it's a great opportunity for anyone, international pilot, local pilot, national pilot, or otherwise. Who wouldn't want to spend a weekend with 150 to 200 quad pilots in Las Vegas? Even though we may have one or two real tracks and an esports tournament, it's also a desert around. There are pins dropped all over the place. And pick a pilot and say, hey, man, you want to go fly? Let's go do it. And, there'll be tiny whip. There's going to be tiny whip parties and casinos, and it's going to be a crazy event. And I think it's going to be one not to miss.
I agree with you on that. I've always said I/O is the event not to miss, but definitely if we can see this put on a yearly basis, I think just from what I've heard, I think there would be more international interest because now for one trip, you're getting basically two opportunities, and they're not very small opportunities. They're very large opportunities for anybody who's really taking this seriously and want to take it to the next level. Obviously, there are a lot of drone racing leagues around now, but DRL is probably the most open one to where they're offering you contracts right out of the gate. So it's definitely worth doing that. Oh, by the way, Alf does listen weekly to this, so he'll be excited that you actually mentioned him. Hi, Alf. How's it going, man? Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite memories of 2018 was just meeting Alf. He showed up and he went away and he came back and then he was helped us set up because he arrived early and just and then when he got to fly, and then I would run into him every evening, what'd you do today? And he was just, I flew. I
was like, it's cold up where you are. How do you fly so much? But yeah, he's a great guy. Definitely meeting all of the international people and just people who are around. It's definitely worth it. I enjoy going to I/O for that specific reason, is because I get to meet people randomly that I never even knew before, and they just want to come up and talk and say hi. And it's like, hey, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And besides,
next year you need a backdrop. You need your own booth. That's what you need. So,
hey, I will work on that with you. And besides, if you come to Las Vegas, you cannot be bored in that city, okay? I've gone there pretty on a yearly basis. You cannot be bored there, okay? Even if you did terrible in both events, you can still have a fun time. That is guaranteed.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. We've had an absolute blast in Las Vegas. In fact, last trip we went down there. We went out on the town on Fremont Street with Vanover's mom. Me, Reese Dackun, videographer with Multigp, and David Roberts, and a whole bunch of us, and Vanover's mom.
Hey, never know, right?
Yeah. It was a great time. Great time. She taught us a few things about a few things, and we made a little bit of money that night on the tables. It was a good time.
Oh, look at that. Dude, I never make money there. All right, I'm going to start wrapping this up and let you get some sleep, Joe, because I'm sure you got an early morning flight out. I know you only got 9 hours, so I want you to be fresh to greet your child, because you're not going to spend much time with her before you are off on Australia, was it? Australia? Yeah.
Yeah, next trip. So right home, and 9 hours later, I turned around, got a couple errands to do in the morning, then back to the airport, and I fly off to Sydney, Australia. It's the Military International Drone Racing Tournament. It is a pretty cool event. It is next weekend in Sydney, Australia. It's actually at the barracks in Sydney. It's hosted by the Australian Army drone racing team, right at their actual Army barracks, which is pretty wild. And there's 14 different teams. Thailand has a team. Australia, New Zealand. Australia has a couple. The UK is sending the team. The USA is sending an army of one, literally one pilot representing the United States.
Come on, US. You could do better than that. Jeez. Okay, anyways.
And so that's next weekend. And then the weekend after that, I'll roll back. Then I'm going to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We're doing a team race at a state fair, which is going to be amazing. And then an individual race the next day on the Sunday. But it's all about that team race in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Then from there, I'm not going home. I'm going straight to Pomona, California for AMA Expo West, where we'll have team racing, we'll have individual racing, freestyle, and more. But we've been talking about the 2018 Multigp National Championships in February 2019 in Las Vegas. That event, AMA Expo West, is a wild card. So there is another opportunity to make it for your chance at one of 4 DRL contracts in Multigp and the Swatch Tryouts. That wild card is November 10th weekend in Pomona, California at AMA Expo West. And there's also a wild card the same weekend in Rock Hills, Texas, at Flight Fest, Texas this year. So that'll be probably our last big weekend. And then I'm home for a weekend. And then I think we're going to simmer down a little bit. I have 1 or 2 more events, quieter events, and I'll be all ready for a new year and a championships in February in Las Vegas.
There you go. So still a couple of chances left. So if anything we've said has interested you, perked your interest, definitely look at that schedule. Try to get out there, win one of your spots. Say hi to Joe Scully. Hopefully he's not in Crocs, but if he is, go and help out. All right, Joe. Thank you so much. You're always a wealth of knowledge. Always great talking to you. Anybody want to reach out and say hi to you or give you some help? Where can they do it?
Well, you can shoot me an email, joe@multigp.com. You can also see most of my social media is FPV Racing Events and Joe Scully. Pretty easy to find. And I have a website, fpvracingevents.com, but I haven't updated it in about a year and a half. But
definitely reach out to Joe on Facebook or wherever he's hanging out. He's definitely a wealth of knowledge. Joe, thanks so much, man.
Thanks for having me, Why.